My name is Mike Jimenez, and this is The Acquired Taste. Hope everyone had an amazing weekend. Joe Garcia producing today's show. It's going to be a fun show at that. You know, typically we have Tuesdays with Teague, but we had to move her up a bit, okay? Because we had arguably the fight of the year this past weekend. You know, CT loves to talk about boxing. We'll have Carolina Teague a little bit later. Joe, how are you doing today, my man?
Doing good, man. Had a really busy, productive weekend. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
Saturday was just amazing, dude. It was a great night of sports, great night of fights, and arguably, and not arguably, in my opinion, but it was the fight of the year. Crawford Spence delivered, and I was just like, it was so exciting. We were at the edge of our seats, man.
Yeah.
Everybody here watching it with me here in studio, we're just like, wow. Same thing with UFC. My wife came in and told us, man, y'all need to shut the F up, dude.
That's why I can't watch boxing at home. My wife would be so pissed off if I watch boxing at home, especially a good pay-per-view fight. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a great fight night. Now, the thing is, I think I'm still hungover.
You did a lot of drinking.
Okay, I was at the poker house, SA Card House, earlier in the night. Did well. I was losing most of the night, but then I won some big pots down the stretch, which was great. Went home with more money than I took.
And drinking money.
And and you know what? I paid for all my drinks with my winnings. I paid for my dinner there with my winnings. Made my way over the Rue Pub, hanging out with my boys over from San Antonio Sports Star. You know, Joe Ryan-Eagle, James Pledger, Jason Minix, and their families. It was a great time. And then the good thing is that you had two fights going on. You had Crawford Spence, and then you had Poirier on the other side, and they're kind of going at it almost at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was like, which screen are we going to look at? It was a great night Saturday. Sunday, 3.5 hour long nap. It was the greatest nap. My wife went out with her friends, you know, go have lunch, go shopping. I'm supposed to be taking care of the kids. And she's like, hey, how are the kids? I don't know. I was asleep the entire time you were gone, is what I told my wife. So it was great. Had a fun time. Sunday actually had breakfast with the one and only Mike Taylor of the Mike Taylor Show, grabbing some breakfast at Jim's. You know, the thing about it is that someone tweeted out there, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when it came to that conversation. But, you know, Mike and I are very friendly when it comes to our respective podcasts. You know?
There's no animosity, man.
There isn't.
No.
And that's the funny thing about it is that I was a big fan of the Mike Taylor Show before I got on the radio myself. Okay, so I kind of kind of felt as though I would go to the Thunderdome events and would consider myself Thunderdome.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at every event, but I went to, one or two a year. So I like Mike Taylor and what he does, and he brings a different perspective. Dare I say he might even be mentoring me in a roundabout way when it comes to life outside of the radio, because we're trying to accomplish the same thing. We could either be adversaries or we could be friendly towards each other.
Yeah.
And we decided to be friendly.
Yeah.
It's nice to have someone to talk to who's been through the same battles.
Exactly. You kind of have somebody trying to kind of help you navigate the waters, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and so much more, because I knew we were on Spotify. And then we got part of the Apple podcast platform as well. What else is going on, Joe?
So earlier today, we went ahead and just really made a push to push the Acquired Taste podcast now on all major podcasting platforms, including the iHeartRadio platform. We're going to be on Amazon Music, Google Podcast. So anywhere you go ahead and search for your podcast on any platform, basically, probably within the next week or so, you're going to be able to find the Acquired Taste everywhere.
That's amazing. Let's go ahead and turn on the chat line so I can see it over here. Again, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, you can actually chime in real time. Leave a comment or 2 or 5 or 10. Either way, we get very excited over here to talk about sports, pop culture, and nostalgia. And speaking of excited, Chris Gonzalez already reaching out saying, everyone get their boners ready. It's Michael.
Oh, we already had the horny talk before we even got on there.
Oh, I know. You know what? Do we want to have this conversation right now?
Why not?
Okay, so on Friday, you brought up a hottie. So we were going to do this on Thursdays. It was
Thirst Trap
Thursdays, right?
Yeah.
Nominations, and the nominations are open. So let's go ahead and knock it out of the way right now, right? So we had Hillary Duff, as the name, and you're the one who nominated this one. And I was talking about this with my friends from San Antonio Sports Star, and they were trying to help me out when it comes to a seeding of hers, because in a bracketology, 1 seed all the way down to 16 seed, if we're actually to do this, is Hillary Duff really a 1 seed? I like her a lot, but maybe she's a 3 seed. Maybe she's lower than that.
Hillary Duff?
Yeah.
No, bro. She built different, man.
There you go. Well, speaking of being built different, you brought up at 11:59, as I'm getting ready for the show, you're like, dude, what about BB Rexa? So again, if you're listening to this right now, this is not me. Okay, they're trying to drag this out of me. They're throwing softball pitches to see if I'd swing in the dirt. BB Rexa, that's a 4 seed right there.
What?
That's a 4 seed. We'll talk a little bit more about BB in the show, but we actually have a guest today. We have Carolina Teague again. Normally we have her on Tuesday. We're going to have her on today because she's all about boxing. She's all about the fights. We'll get into the Crawford Spence fight with her. Wednesday, we have Moneybags, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. So super excited about that. And Thursday, for the first time ever, we're going to have poker player Rhonda DiMartino on. We finally booked Rhonda DiMartino. She will be on Thursday. If you have any photos of Rhonda, Rhonda is a professional poker player.
Bringing that up right now.
And, she was telling me that she had a huge night at the poker house last night. Now, when I go out and play poker, I'm putting down $300, right? And I'm excited because I made 300 into 500, right?
I'm showing the stack she's putting up.
Yeah,
man.
Every yellow block that you see there is $1,000.
Yeah.
And just last month, she raked in over 100,000 in one night. She had a big night last night as well. You can find her over at Rounders Card Club. She's at SA Card House, and then all over the state as well. She's a professional player. She cashed at the 2023 World Series of Poker main event just last month, or earlier this month, I should say. We're still in July. So, Rhonda DiMartino will be on to talk to us about poker, to talk to us about what it takes to actually make money at these places, maybe some skill level, what she's up to. After the World Series, what did she do? She went to Cancun.
Oh, relax.
And she went to go celebrate with her friends and family and all of that. So I follow her on social media as well. Again, Rhonda DiMartino will be on
Dude, check
Thursday.
out those stacks, dude. Just $1,000, just stacks of those $1,000 chips, man.
Yeah, the yellow ones are 1,000
man.
each. The black chips are 500. The greens are 25, and the reds are 5. I mean, just stack upon stack and stack of chips over there. But I've always wanted to have her on this show since we got going. This was one of my target guests to have. It's because she is so good at what she does. And again, it's all about being a baller, right? How can you make money? And we're going to have Ronna DiMartino on Thursday. But I'm excited about this show. I'm excited about the direction of the network because this Sunday, show number 2 of the Acquired Taste Network, I would say that we officially become a network at that point because we have 2 shows. We have the Fantasy Gods with Brandon Medina starting Sunday at 11 a.m. It's going to go from here until week probably 14 or 15. Actually, no, it'll probably go all the way to week 16 of the NFL season. We're talking about fantasy football. Again, the NFL doesn't start until early September, but we have all the drafts that are going to be coming out. We're going to get you prepped up for that draft, talk to you about certain players that you may want to avoid, certain players that you may want to stash, certain players you may want to, draft earlier than you would normally think. Brandon Medina loves talking about fantasy football. He loves talking about gambling. And we did this show for 2 years over at San Antonio Sports Star and had a blast. And it was a huge show. It was a huge success over there. So I'm excited about that.
You're going to tell me, I got to go. I got to show this, dude. You're going to tell me, man, that.
Oh, we're going back to BB Rexa?
BB is a 4? Look at that, man.
She built different, man.
Look at that. She's a 4. No. 4 seed. 4 seed.
Sometimes 4 seeds upset 1 seeds.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I like her a lot.
Oh, look at this. The Drew Show, man. I like this one.
Blocked by San Antonio.
There was a block party going on over the weekend, man.
There was a block party. But you know what? All those guys are my friends over there, man. That's why I was hanging out with Ryan Eagle and Minix and Pledger. Those are my guys, man. I love those guys over there. Rudy J, great guy over there. I have nothing but love for San Antonio Sports Star and my friends out there. And people ask the question, or they'll say, Jimenez, you just seems like you might be butthurt about what happened a couple months ago. The only thing that hurts me is that I don't get to see my friends daily over there.
Yeah.
I don't really miss the show itself because this actually takes the place of it. It really does. And I'm close to home and I get to spend more time with my business and I'm more successful with my business because I'm spending more time with it. And I still have this outlet to talk to people. Now, as far as that second hour is concerned, that is still something that we're ironing out details right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping that something big happens out of that. But we're going to iron out those details. But again, our second show, The Fantasy Gods, begins this Sunday. And I want to say thank you to our new sponsors of The Fantasy Gods, by the way, Mad Pecker Brewery, Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, which is amazing, by the way, and Bear County Social Apparel. Speaking of apparel, I don't know if you noticed, I'm wearing
black and gold,
my new Saints t-shirt. My sister Alice, by the way, happy birthday to my sister Mary Alice. It was her birthday yesterday. She and her son and husband went to Eagle Pass to go celebrate over there at the Kickapoo.
Oh, nice.
She's already given me Christmas gifts. And you know what? I want the Saints shirt like this one before the season starts, which is perfect. I don't need to get a gift in December. Just give me this now. I can wear it week 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through. I'll cycle them through because I got like 7 or 8 Saints shirts, but I love the Saints. That is my team. We're going to win the NFC South this year. We're going to host a playoff game. More than likely, it's going to be against the Cowboys. I'm already calling it. Cowboys might be the better team. I have the better record, but we're going to be playing each other in the playoffs come late December.
Man, if that
January.
actually does happen, we're going to have some type of watch party for the listeners, man.
That is true.
Somewhere at some sports pub or something.
Yeah, and the watch party is a big deal. I mentioned that Mad Packer Brewery is going to be sponsoring the Fantasy Gods. We're going to have a fantasy league out there, but you have to be a watcher of the Fantasy Gods to take part. Okay, so that means you got to be part of the Sunday experience that we do, and I love that show so much.
It's gonna be fun
because Brandon and I did that for 2 years, and Brandon's gonna be the one that leads it, right? I'm just gonna be in the background with him, but Brandon does such a fantastic job. Loves talking parlays, lots talking about just the gambling in general, DraftKings and FanDuel and all that stuff, the daily fantasy. Very, very,
He's going to let you know if you need to pick Dak as your QB or not.
Exactly. Happy birthday to Dak Prescott, by the way. Dak Prescott over the weekend. What did he turn? Dak Prescott is 30 years old. He is who he is.
Dakota Prescott.
Yes. No, well, no, it is Rain Dakota Prescott. Born July 29th, 1993, over the weekend, turned 30 years old. We know who he is. He's a decent quarterback.
No, man.
He's good.
I don't
He's
claim
fine.
him. I don't claim him.
And there's video here of CeeDee Lamb. Was he wearing a Dak shirt?
They're all wearing Dak shirts, dude.
He's liked, man. And that's the thing about it is that
there it is. There's a shirt right there.
There are 20 teams that wish they had Dak Prescott as their quarterback, which also means that there are 10 playoff teams that wouldn't want him. He's a good quarterback. He is tier 3.
No, man, he's good at throwing interceptions. But so is Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's good at putting the ball on the turf, man. He's good at fumbling. Dude, they used to give Cam Newton so much crap for the number of times he'd fumble, but Josh Allen, no big deal.
Bro, I mean, just to be honest, man, Cam Newton back in the day when he first started,
yeah,
the dude was running for his life, man. I mean, he's a big guy and he can take a hit, but there was some big boys chasing him down, man.
Yeah. Cam Newton got a bad deal, man. He should still be in the league. He really should be. Lots to get into today. We'll be talking about the Crawford Spence fight. Is it the fight of the year? Are you surprised at all? I mean, this was supposed to be an even matchup, but it really wasn't that way. We'll get into that with Carolina Teague beginning at 12:30. Again, Dallas Cowboys camp is underway, minus one of their all-pro players.
Still holding out.
Still holding out, losing some cash along the way. Former Dallas Cowboys Zeke Elliott, he paid a visit to an NFL team. I thought this guy was done, but apparently not. And Aaron Rodgers stands up for one of his coaches.
Oh, keep my
coach's name out of your mouth. Rapper Cardi B might be in trouble with the law. Cardi. And then I guess that'll have to dovetail into BB Rexa. Let's go ahead and have, that'll give you some excuse, Joe, to show those photos of her. But again, that's not me, Joe. I'm not the one who said I want to talk about BB Rexa. That was not even part of the conversation. The show's starting. We have that 2-minute time to let people get onto the show. And you're like, Jimenez, I want to talk about BB Rexa. And I'm like, all right.
We're talking about Cardi B. And then you're like, man, let's talk about what happened with BB Rexa. She got hit in the face.
Kind of
so
similar.
I pulled up the pictures of BB Rexa and I was
and then he kept scrolling down.
I was like, bro. And you're like, no, she's a 4 seed.
4 seed, which is mean that she's a 9 overall, right? And we have a lot to get into today. Don't forget to follow Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. That is your daily content of Spurs coverage, not only on Locked On Spurs podcast, which is available on Spotify and on YouTube, but it's also the fact that he's the lead Spurs writer for Kens5.com. You can follow Jeff Garcia at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter. Are we calling that Twitter, or is it now just X?
The X. And we're talking about Jeff. We got to show the picture, man.
Moneybags himself. You can also follow him on Threads at Jeff G Kens5SA. So I'm going to be on Locked On Spurs tomorrow, right? But today, Rudy Campos of Sweep the League is on. And Jeff asked a very interesting question, and I'll give my take on this, and Joe, you can give your take as well. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs podcast is asking the question, which Spurs player is going to take the biggest leap this year? And typically when I think about a player taking a leap from a team, you can easily identify it from time to time. So for example, I knew when Keldon was going to take that leap, right? He was primed for it. And in previous years, you can kind of go, you know what? I think this player is going to do it. I think that player is going to do it. But this year, there are 5 players that I think can take a leap this year. And what would be amazing is if 2 or 3 were able to do so. So I think right now, you can ask the question, is Jeremy Sohan going to take a leap? Or is he simply just going to be better? What about Devin Vassell? Devin Vassell going from an 18-point per game player to a 21 to 22. Is that possible? Can he be knocking on the door of being a future All-Star? I think Devin Vassell is the best player on the Spurs roster right now. I know Wemby's there. Wemby's a phenom, and Wemby's probably the best player. But as far as the best NBA player that's been around, I think that's Devin Vassell. What about Zach Collins?
No.
Zach Collins, if he is healthy, I think Zach Collins is legit, man.
I think he gives you what you need inside the paint as far as a presence goes, but as far as his offensive game,
He could knock down threes, man. 35, 36% clip.
yeah. But I'm saying he doesn't really need to be a prolific scorer. You know what I mean?
No, he doesn't. But what I fall in love with Zach Collins more and more that I watch him play.
He's a hard worker, dude. He goes out there and he works hard. He puts a lot of effort into it.
And he's not a wuss, dude.
No, man, he ain't backing down.
He ain't
I like
backing
that.
down.
He's got a little dog in him.
Yeah, he might look like he's
little schoolboy.
Yeah, he might have that,
clean look.
Who am I think? Christian Laettner type of look.
Oh man.
You know, Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
He's not a Cherokee Parks.
No. This guy will not be pushed around. If somebody messes with Victor Wembanyama, if they try to F around with him, they're going to find out when it comes to our guy, Zach Collins. But then the other name out there, what about Trey Jones? Can Trey Jones make a leap this year? What about Malachi Branham? Depends on the number of minutes that he plays. I think Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 asks a very legitimate question here. Which Spur is going to make a leap? Yeah. And it's very possible that Pop in the front office, Brian Wright, and all of these guys might think that the Spurs are good enough as is. Because you and I had this conversation last week. What if the Spurs cut their veteran players? Cameron Payne, Reggie Bullock, C.D. Osman.
What direction does it signal?
It signals that they're going to be going in a younger direction. But what if these young guys really are just as good as advertised, or as good as Pop thinks they are, as good as Brian Wright thinks they are? That's what's exciting about this year, because I think the Spurs could have a winning season this year. I don't think they're going to win 50 games, but if you tell me 42 to 46, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. My good friend Richard was telling me that DraftKings right now has the over-under on wins for the Spurs at 29.5. That is insulting.
It is. It's going to be a little bit higher than 29, man. Come on.
29 is so low, man.
That means if they're going to be 29, they're looking to tank again, and they're going to be looking to get another high pick in the upcoming draft.
So who do you think is going to take the leap this year? And let's open up the chat line as well to see who they think. If you're following this show right now live on YouTube, which Spur player do you think is going to take that leap this year? Because I tell you what, if I had to choose one, I think it's Devin Vassell. I think he's ready. And on top of that, it's a contract year. You know what happens in a contract year? People ball out. That's what ends up happening. People reaching out saying only 10 times in NBA history have multiple teams have 3 teammates score 20 points per game. The Drew Show mentioning that. So are there 3 players on the Spurs roster who can score 20 points per game? Well, last year we had Keldon Johnson at 21 points per game. We had Devin Vassell at 18.5. So to go from 18.5 to 20 is not that big of a leap, right? You can do that. The question is, who's that third player? Is that Victor Wembanyama? Now, Vegas believes that Wemby's going to average somewhere around 18-9 or a 19-9 stat line. Do I think that Wemby's going to average 20 points per game? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, I think that the back half of the year, the last 41 games of the season, he might be a 20-point per game guy the last 41 games. But I think he's going to start out at around 14 points per game, 15 points per game the first few months, get his act together around the rodeo road trip, and be a 17.5, 18-point per game guy by the end of the year. Chris Leha reaching out and saying it's going to be Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell. Chris, I tell you what, though, if it's those 2 guys that are taking a leap, the Spurs are making the playoffs. Because if you have Devin Vassell taking a leap, Jeremy Sohan, and you have Keldon Johnson averaging 20 points per game, and you have Victor Wembanyama patrolling the area playing defense, this team's making the playoffs, man. Yeah. They're making the playoffs.
I actually believe that it's probably going to be Devin Vassell that's going to take that biggest leap, but biggest leap meaning that he might be a little bit more consistent with his points per game and, you know, other stats across the board. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm looking for him to score in the high 20s, because we have to look realistically. If you're going to go ahead and have the offense flow through one Victor Wembanyama, which is your star player here, how many touches is he going to get?
And I think that's the thing. You pose the question, does it flow through him? What if it doesn't?
It might not.
What if he's just one of 5 players on the court, and it's just because you see Wemby play. He has vision, he has handles, and he doesn't seem to be. He has the Mamba mentality, but he doesn't necessarily need to hog the ball. He'll shoot.
Yeah, he doesn't.
If given the opportunity, he'll shoot. But I think that he'd be just as excited about getting 7 assists per game as opposed to getting 25 points per game. I think that there's something there where he might just be the ultimate team player, no different than what Tim Duncan did. Don't get me wrong, Tim Duncan will get you 20 and 10.
He was a double-double every night.
He was a double-double every night, but you never knew if it was going to be 30 and 10 or if it was going to be 12 and 18. You didn't know which one you were going to get, but it averaged out to be very, very well. Mike asking the question, who's going to be the odd man out if Victor Wembanyama is averaging 15 points per game?
That's a tough one. That's when we're talking about Keldon possibly coming off the bench. Because I think if anybody has something to lose in the starting lineup, I think that would be one Keldon Johnson, because Keldon Johnson, when you're looking at the average number of touches that he needed to go ahead and score in those double figures, it commanded a lot of touches on the ball.
It does. And Keldon coming off the bench wouldn't mean that he's not going to be playing 28 to 32 minutes.
Oh, yeah, no.
It just means that he comes off the bench at the 5-minute mark of the first quarter. That's all it means. No different than Manu. It's not you're a 6-man because you suck. It might be because you need to anchor the second unit. Hanover Fist asking the question, or saying, actually, that Vassell is going to have to show why he needs to get paid. I think he already has. I think he's proven himself already. 18.5 points per game, 39% from 3. This is a guy that can play decent defense. In college was an excellent defender. If he can get back to that excellent level of defense, I think that this is a guy that'll be averaging $22 to $25 million per year when the time comes.
Look at this comment here by Tim Gonzalez.
Tim Gonzalez, Spurs will win the play-in tournament and get the 6th seed in the Western Conference. Well, they get the play-in. They'd beat the 7. But I see what you're saying, though, because 7, 8, 9, 10 are the ones that make it over. 1 through 6 get to keep their spots according to the standings after 82 games. But again, don't forget to follow Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. I follow on Spotify and on YouTube as well, because just like this show, you can actually watch the show as well. Moneybags, my man.
Hey, can we give a quick shout out, man? We always like to go ahead and give shout outs to, other people in the podcasting community here that are doing their thing. And, our friend over here, friend of the show, Rudy Campos Jr., he's the guest today on Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. So, he does a little show called Sweep the League.
That's right.
So go out and, give him some love, give him a listen.
Subscribe to Rudy Campos, my man. Sweep the league. Chris Lehouse saying the Spurs are winning the division, so screw the play-in. Well, winning the division, if you believe in that, right now the odds, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, is 35 to 1 odds. 35 to 1 odds. You bet $300 that the Spurs are going to win the division, you get back more than 10 G's. You could be money bags just like Jeff Garcia.
You could afford to get a steak via Uber Eats.
That's right. That's
a
right.
French steak.
A big shout out to one of our sponsors, Cynthia J. Sanchez. She laughed at the fact that on Friday I referred to her as the badass realtor, but that's what it is. I mean, how else do you describe Cynthia J. Sanchez from J. Parr Real Estate?
Because you told her, give me some houses. What do you want me to show some houses? I don't got none.
Yeah,
I sold them.
I said, yeah, I'd be happy to post them on Twitter, right? Here's this address, photo of a home. Here's the interior, the exterior. She goes, no, I second I get them, I sell them.
That's a badass.
So that's very cool, man. She was so on fire last year with her business. This year has had a pretty good summer. And it's like that in real estate. It comes in waves.
Yeah.
And J. Parr Real Estate, Cynthia J. Sanchez, she's out there looking for you for the right home at the right price, at the right interest rate, because that's what it's all about. It's about getting the right home. And what I liked about it was that she showed me on Realtor.com, her last 2 people that have bought homes were kind enough to go on Realtor.com and leave a review. And it was 5 stars across the board. And it's not just those 2. She has tons of them. But the ones from this summer, just by the way, 5 stars across the board, saying, hey, she found us the right house. She was very patient. She was nice. She was understanding. She was accommodating to the ability to go buy a home. I know that when I bought a house through her, I live in West Bexar County, I must have been the biggest pain in the ass. because I went from new build to new build to new build to maybe we should do this neighborhood. Maybe we should do that one. You know what? Let's do this one. And in the last minute, I changed my mind. We went someplace else, but she stood by my side the entire way. Cynthia J. Sanchez, 210-273-0748. 210-273-0748. Again, if you're buying a home, whether it's your primary home, it's a rental. If it is an Airbnb, she'll find one for you. 210-273-0748. We're going for about another 45 minutes or so. In a while, we're going to have Carolina Teague talking to us about boxing, the fight of the year, Spence versus Crawford on Saturday night. What a great fight. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Now, Cowboys camp is underway in Oxnard, California. Got lots of good friends out there who are covering that. I know Spernandez, who is one of our friends here at the show, is out there in Oxnard, California. Again, Spernandez, Super Spurs fan who happens to be from San Antonio, J High School area, now in the Marines in San Diego, California. So if there's anything that goes on West Coast involving the Spurs or Cowboys, he's there. So we hope to get Spernandez on here sometime in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Give us a little live shot, if you will, from Cowboy training camp in Oxnard, California.
The brother travels well, man.
He does, man. I don't know. I guess if you're in the military as long as he's been, you got some PTO.
Oh, I'm sure he
beyond
has,
2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Now, here's the thing. We call Jeff Garcia money bags, but he's not a money bags as compared to Zach Martin of the Dallas Cowboys, because that guy, all-pro player for the Cowboys, perennial all-pro player, I think 6 times. This is a guy that will one day be in the Ring of Honor there at Jerry World, will one day be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's losing $50,000 per day because he refuses to go to Cowboy camp.
That's about what people make in a typical year on average.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
$50,000 per day because he's pissed off. He wants to get paid more. And this is somebody who makes $13 million a year, but the best guards in the NFL right now are making more than that. They're making north of 20 and a half. And he's like, dude, I'm a 6-time All-Pro. I want to get paid just like them. And Dak Prescott, the birthday boy, is out here saying, pay the guy. But they can't. That's the thing. They can't. Sports Illustrated this morning released an article saying, you do realize that they pay him well for his position. You do realize that they got to pay Parsons. They got to pay They already did pay Trayvon Diggs. They got to pay CeeDee Lamb. They got to pay all these other players. Zach Martin, a guard in his early 30s, might not be the best play right there. And that's what the crappy part about the NFL right now. They say they don't want to pay you early on because you're on a rookie deal. Then they franchise tag your ass for seasons 5 and 6 or 6 and 7. And then when you want to get that big contract, they give you the middle finger and say, well, now you're 30, you're too old. Unless you're a quarterback. That's what's going on right now in the NFL. In about 2 minutes, we're going to have Carolina Teague on. We'll be talking boxing with her.
We already got her on standby.
But before we get to her real fast, Zeke Elliott.
Oh, man.
I thought he was done.
Apparently not.
Zeke Elliott, cut by the Cowboys in June, was basically told in March, but it was official in June. Zeke Elliott hanging out with the guys with a hoodie over in New England, the New England Patriots, kicking the tires, seeing if this would be a good fit for a backup running back.
Oh,
I'm hopeful for him, dude.
Sharing the wrong slide. I thought I was sharing the other one.
I'm hopeful for Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott, this is a guy whose production level has gone down year after year after year after year. He was the overpaid player, one of the most overpaid players in the NFL, was the highest paid running back for a couple of seasons there. And Tony Pollard took his job, as he should have. The Cowboys stood by Zeke Elliott this entire time. But the fact of the matter is that this is not a player who is of a starting caliber anymore. This is a guy that you want to have in the game at the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line and just get it across the goal line. Because I might laugh and say that Zeke Elliott sucks ass as a starting running back, but if my life depended on it and I had a gun to my head and you said, Jimenez, you need to pick a player, a running back to pound it in from 2 yards out, or from a yard and a half. You can pick any player in the NFL, Derrick Henry. You can pick Nick Chubb. You can pick any of these players. And you say, Jimenez, your life depends on it. 1.5 yards out. Who's going to take it into the end zone? It's Zeke.
You believe in Zeke, dude?
No, I believe in Zeke to get a yard and a half at the goal line. And that's all I believe in him in. From 20 to 20, he sucks. This is a guy that gets like 3.5 yards per carry now, or 3.8.
He lost that speed,
trash.
Man. He doesn't have that speed.
He doesn't have that speed. But you know what he has?
Got power.
He's got power and that quick burst at the very beginning. It's different, man. His skill set is still valuable. And it's just, he's not a starter. He's not a 20 touches a game kind of guy. He's just somebody that you give the ball to at the 1 yard line or the 2, and you know he's going to get it in there.
Third and one.
He's not third and 1. He's not going to fumble it. He just won't. Not in that situation.
When he's out in the open field, it's a different story.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And one last thing before we get to CT. Keep my coach's name out your mouth. Will
Rodgers.
Smith style, baby. Aaron freaking Rodgers going after Sean Payton, new head coach of the Denver Broncos. I'm sporting my Saints gear right now, and I love me some Sean Payton, but I do know he's a jackass. And what he did the other day to former Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett was trash, man. It was trash. That's the thing. Sean Payton is trash. He is, okay? He's my guy because he got us a Super Bowl, right? 15 years ago. He's my guy. But I do know he's a douchebag.
Are they going to be shaking hands when they meet? If they play against each other?
It's a very good point.
You can be shaking this brother's hand after he's talking bad about you? I'd be like, hell no.
So for those of you who don't know, Sean Payton, who's now the new head coach of the Denver Broncos, was trying to stand up for Russell Wilson. He was trying to stand up for the Denver Broncos players, and he was being interviewed by the USA Today last week, where he just went after his predecessor, Nathaniel Hackett, saying that it was one of the worst coaching jobs he had ever seen, ever performed in all his years in the NFL, saying that Nathaniel Hackett was the reason why the team was undisciplined, was the reason why Russell Wilson looked like trash, was the reason why they couldn't score points, and went on to say that he's just garbage. He's a garbage head coach. Well, Hackett is now the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, along with Aaron Rodgers and all the stud players they have on the offense now. And Rodgers over the weekend was asked this question about, what did you think about Sean Payton going after Nathaniel Hackett? And Aaron Rodgers said, basically, get my coach's name out your mouth. He went on to say that it was unprofessional for what Sean Payton did.
It's not lying.
Went on to say that Sean Payton did that because when Sean Payton fails, he needs to have an excuse.
Got to have a scapegoat.
Right.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very interesting. And the way that he said it, he just basically says, this guy's trash. This guy's trash. This guy is making my coach a fall guy when it's a whole team situation. Teams failed for a variety of reasons. And he says Hackett wasn't the reason why. Dude, Russell Wilson's awful, man.
He is, dude.
I had this conversation several times on this podcast already.
He just fell off the cliff, man.
He's old.
Yeah.
Like he might not be old for this earth,
but he's football old.
He's football old. And it's weird because you see Brady go off after 40. You see all these other players, but for some reason, Russell Wilson either looks like he doesn't try, doesn't care, or he's just done.
I don't know if his heart's in it anymore. Maybe that's it.
We've got a special guest. We typically have Tuesdays with Teague, but we're going to have a Manic Monday with CT in the house. What's going on, Carolina? How you doing?
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Oh, dude, we are doing great. I know that we were excited over the weekend because we were treated to some nice fights. I mean, there was a
night of fights.
A nice night of fights. There was so much going on, and Crawford beat Errol Spence Jr. on Saturday night. Some people consider this the fight of the year. Yeah. Crawford, now the undisputed welterweight champ, has all 4 belts. This is the second time he's done it because he had all 4 belts in another class a while back. But that being said, what did you think of the fight? Were you surprised at all?
I was completely surprised. This was the fight of a generation. And I know that you said that some people may have deemed it, but the majority of people who follow boxing very closely knew that 2023 was probably the best year that we've seen in boxing just yet. You have Tank Garcia, then you have Plant Benavidez, and then now you have Spence Crawford. This one right here, though, was very special because, like Errol Spence said, these aren't people that have a bad blood, beef, a storyline. These are just two people at the top, at their pinnacle, fighting for who's the best. And coming into this fight, I was right down the middle, 50-50. Normally, I can make decisions on who's going to win. The only thing I could probably conjure up was that it would go to decision because both fighters are extremely incredible. And I thought that Spence would take it to decision. Did not expect a surgical breakdown by Terrence Crawford. I was so surprised that he had the TKO in round 9. I didn't expect that at all. And coming from Spence, who at the time had more belts in that division, you would think that he would be the person to be the top dog, but he got worked from beginning to end. With the exception of round 1, Crawford had him all the way. I was not expecting that at all. I was completely surprised. And this goes back to the time that we talked about Eminem, and I said I don't like Eminem's music. Maybe there is something special about Eminem. Terrence Crawford came out to Lose Yourself by Eminem with Eminem himself.
I know
And
CT was lip syncing to it.
Yeah,
She was.
I think he was lip syncing, got granted, but at the same time, look at how Terrence Crawford was. I mean, he's the first male fighter to become the undisputed in 2 divisions all night. He had incredible footwork as he was known for, but we saw the display on hand. He was able to stay in the pocket for the majority of the night. He placed himself in a position to hit punches at every angle and at the right time. He had an amazing right hook, and this was by far the best performance on the biggest night of his career.
Terrence Crawford now 40-0. Check out the last 10 fights. TKO, knockout, TKO, 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 knockout. And then also his 31st win against Felix Diaz. The guy did not come back. He was like no mas. He didn't come back from the seat. He retired, so that goes down as a TKO as well. I find it to be interesting because I was going for Crawford. I've seen Spence fight so many times, and I like Spence's fights, but Crawford was I don't know, man, just like the old guy in the gym type of thing.
He was just smooth with it. He wasn't afraid. He was just chill, man.
Like Spence was flying around, and Spence looked more spry. Like Spence was faster. But Crawford just looked like, you're not going to move me, man. You're just not going to move me. Yeah. And when the first knockdown happened in the second round, it was a jab. So it wasn't like, it was a power punch or anything like that. It was a jab with the left, I believe. And I thought to myself, and I was with Joe Reinago, I was like, we're both going for Crawford. But to me, that just seemed like he got stunned. Like it was a surprise thing that happened. And I didn't think that Terrence, I didn't think that Spence had gotten hurt. But then the 7th round happened. And oh my God, Crawford opened up a can of whoop ass in the 7th round.
Man, what's his name? Spence got saved by the bell.
The second time in the 7th round.
Yeah, he got saved.
And also, too, I think he was stunned, like you said, because that was the first time he ever got knocked down in his career. I mean, this is Errol Spence we're talking about. This is not some scrub off the street. This was deemed as the fight of the century for a generation. I keep saying century, but generational fight for a reason. Him getting knocked down probably caught him by surprise just as much as it caught us. And there was a lot of people who were looking at his physique and saying that he looked a little bit dehydrated and he wasn't hydrated enough coming into the fight. And they were saying he didn't look okay. Everything doesn't seem normal for him. But I feel like those are all excuses to the dominant performance that Bud Crawford put on. He did an amazing job. And with the exception of him and Clarissa Shields, I don't think anybody's going to beat Bud Crawford right now. On any level, he's dominant. So I'm really impressed by that performance. I was in complete shock. Like I said, Spence in decision. Did not see this tactical breakdown coming from Crawford. But now that we all know, I just want to send him an apology for not believing that he would win or believing that there would be a TKO. And even Spence tried to dispute the TKO. He didn't want to stop. But I mean, you got knocked down 3 times and you you clearly lost the fight. Like I said, with the exception of round 1, Crawford won across the whole board.
Yeah, all the scorecards were
Yeah.
all about Crawford.
Man,
I mean, yeah, I think Spence won one round on each of the scorecards. Now the thing about it is this: now you have to look at it from a historic standpoint. You know, being the unified champion through all 4 belts for 2 different divisions, now 40-0. You have to start thinking about whether or not this is an all-time great at this point. You know, like where does he rank in that pantheon there? Because we had that with Floyd, that conversation with Floyd Mayweather Jr. recently.
Yeah.
You know, where does he rank above of there? And Crawford right now undefeated, 40-0. The last 10 fights by knockout or TKO. Unreal. And Spence came into the ring, and I saw Spence, and I got worried. I was like, this guy looks fit. This guy looks fast. And it didn't matter because Crawford was hitting him wherever he wanted to hit him. He was able to keep him away, was also able to land those punches to the side of the face. It was great. It was a great fight. I enjoyed it. And then at the same time, there at the Rue Pub, you see Dustin Poirier get his ass handed to himself. That was fun too. The kick to the face. There's something about it because Jonathan C. reached out to us over here on our YouTube stream saying boxing is dead, UFC is where it's at. Dude, we can enjoy both, man.
I enjoyed the boxing, man.
I enjoyed the boxing. The UFC, though, I'm going to get the guy's name wrong. It was Justin Gaethje, I think was his name.
Gaethje, yeah.
The kick to the side of the face was spectacular.
That was nasty, dude.
I mean, this is the argument that me and Gylan have all the time, because Gylan is a huge UFC fan, and he always tells me, like, why do you always talk about boxing? UFC is where it's at. But at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. I think at the end of the day, combat sports is king. If I could follow any sport obsessively, it has to be combat sports. Wrestling, boxing, MMA, all that stuff. That's all the stuff that I'm into. Getting your ass kicked, bleeding, fighting for your title. Those are the things that I'm personally into. And let's be real honest for 1 second. UFC has been dominating the pay-per-views for a long time, with the exception of when Floyd Mayweather was, at the King of the Castle. But now I want to see what the numbers are, the official numbers are for Crawford Spence, because it was supposed to be projected to do over 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. I want to see what happened with that, because if we're looking at pay-per-view buys, Garcia, Tank outdid a lot of UFC fights, and I want to see what Spence Crawford does. Then we can say that boxing is king.
Yeah, the last I saw was 700,000 is what happened, and it raked in 50 million in revenue. We're with Carolina Teague of A League of Her Own podcast. Follow her on YouTube. Follow her on all the social media as well. Follow her channel. Okay, she has a podcast just like this one. Follow her podcast, A League of Her Own, on YouTube. Now, the reason why I'm kind of flustered right now, we got some breaking news coming in, so I need the entertainment banner.
You saw that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So let's and this is some sad news on the entertainment
Let me
side.
go ahead and bring that in here.
Yeah, we got to do the animation. Make it official. Some sad news out of Hollywood. An actor that we all know has passed away. Pee Wee Herman. Paul Reubens has died at the age of 70. The news just broke within the past half hour or so. It's being reported by the New York Times, CNN, being reported by Variety, and now Yahoo. Again, Paul Reubens, best known for Pee-wee's Playhouse in the 80s and the early 90s, and also the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure and all the sequels that came after that. A very iconic figure, very controversial figure because of something that happened inside of a movie theater back in the day. But Paul Reubens passed away at 70 years old. CT, how familiar are you with Pee Wee Herman?
I'm really familiar with him. He would creep me out when I was a little kid. I would watch his shows. I'm just going to be honest. He really did. Like, we would have to watch it when I was in daycare. And I remember just not finding it sounds so bad. I can't say this right now because he passed
He was
away.
in daycare. CT, you remember when you were 2 or 3?
God bless his soul. I'm sad that he's gone. But when I heard the story about the movie theater incident, that also turned me off a little bit. And I was like, there was a reason why I thought he was a little creepy. Like my kid intuition, he never sat right with me for whatever reason. But I'm sure he was a great guy. Rest in peace. everybody makes mistakes. I'm not going to judge him for what he did in his lifetime. Me personally, he had a great show, but I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Pee Wee Herman came out in the 1970s. He was a stand-up comedian. In the early 80s, he had a TV show, actually from 1980 to 1992, called The Pee Wee Herman Show. And for some reason, parents would put their kids in front of the TV to watch this crap, but it was what it was. He had a cult following. Then the Pee Wee's Big Adventure movie came out, which, you know, had the final scenes there at the Alamo, right? He's going after his bike, which has been stolen. And that was one movie that I did see growing up. And it was supposedly being kept inside the basement of the Alamo. That was the ongoing line when it came to it all. The movie, I mean, cult classic. I might have to revisit it. It's annoying as F, but that was very popular back then.
Come on, you're like the Pee Wee dancing on top of the table, man.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's right. That was it to tequila? What was it to? So in 1991, he was got in trouble because he was caught jerking off inside of an adult movie theater. So it wasn't like a Santikos. It was an adult movie theater, but nonetheless, that happened back in 1991 when he got arrested in Sarasota, Florida.
Can I ask you a quick question about that? Like, I really want to know, because one time I went to an adult store when I became an adult. I went to an adult store and I walked in. I was looking for like an outfit or something for Halloween. I don't know what I was in there for, but
Pixar didn't happen. It's a Pixar didn't happen. My bad.
Yeah, well, I was a kid here, you know, I see all these toys and all these things, but there was like a door in the back, and I asked the guy, hey, what's behind that door? And they were like, it's a movie theater. So I guess it was like an adult movie theater in the back. And
yeah,
in my mind, I'm like, okay, if there's adult stores with adult movie theaters, and you're with all these like toys, and that's kind of the whole point of the store, how can you get in trouble for playing with yourself in an adult movie theater? That's what I really genuinely want an answer to.
I see where we're going with that, you know, and I've gone to adult stores before. Me and my wife we'll go from time to time to go check things out, right? It is what it is. Happily married. So the thing about it is that they do have like these stalls, right? These places where you can watch a video in there and maybe meet somebody in there is what I've been told. I've never actually gone into the theater part of it all.
Oh,
but
come on.
No, I never have. I swear to you,
either. I was scared.
Yeah, because you're like, what's going on back there? And why is there a red light?
No,
you know, why is there a red light to watch a movie? But
what were you gonna watch if you're in a little booth? You're gonna be watching videos of what, fourth stringers, third stringers?
No, I know that there's adult movies, but I'm like, if there's an adult movie, what's gonna happen? You're not just gonna sit there quietly and watch the movie. You're gonna like want to like play with yourself, especially
you're gonna enjoy it like the art that it is.
Exactly, you're gonna enjoy the art. So I want to know why did he get arrested for that? Like, how do you go from going to an adult movie theater where that's supposed to be accepted, and
he was just playing along? He was getting interactive with it, man.
That's what I'm saying. Who found him? Like, you know, I just want to know the details of that. Like, why would you get arrested for that?
That's very progressive thinking there. I see where you're going with it, but it's still public. Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a funny story to say about this. My wife and I one time went to, like, she was going to a bachelorette party, right? So she wanted to get some novelty items and stuff like that. And we go to Megaplex and they say, hey, if you sign in, like check in on Facebook, we'll give you a 10% discount. I'm like, really? So we're not going to do this, are we? I'm like, it's 10%. You know,
that's Texas, man. Come on.
I mean, you know, it's $100. That's $10, baby. Just $10 for a check-in. Just check in. So we checked in, got the discount, and we're walking out the door. My wife's like, erase it. Like, I'm not joking. Like, whoa, we're not doing anything illegal. This is what it is.
Erase it.
Talking to Carolina Teague again. We have the pop culture breaking news that Paul Rubens, better known as Pee Wee Herman, has died at the age of 70. Again, he was a stand-up comedian. He was somebody who was very polarizing. There were some people who loved him, some people who hated him. As far as the cause of death, it was reported that he was fighting cancer for many years. So I don't know if that's the reason why. It's just well known that he has had cancer for many years. Hey, CT, do you have a minute?
I do. Yeah, I have all the time today. I was going to ask you a quick question, though. I'm really interested into the adult store topic. So you and your wife went to the adult store, and obviously Joe's been there. I want to know what's the most exciting thing you bought at the adult store.
Exciting for me or for like somebody else?
What did you get? I want to know what you got. What were you there for? What did you buy?
Sometimes it's like it's funny, like novelty stuff, like socks and like clothes, like the clothing there is pretty interesting. And sometimes, so like as you said, when it comes to Halloween, you need to like have a certain accessory that goes with it to make it a little bit more sexy than what you get at the spirit store. So it's stuff like that. I'm not over here buying anything that needs a D battery.
Like what? Like that? You're not buying that stuff?
No.
Okay.
Things made out of silicone were not coming out of there.
Because I walked through the store for the first time and I remember seeing like cages and all these crazy stuff. Like I didn't even know that stuff existed. I was just there
for me
for looking heels.
My wife and I look at each other whenever we see stuff like that and we think to ourselves, isn't this what Amazon's for? Like, why would you go to a store? Like, can I try out this cage?
You go to the store because you need it now. I can't wait for Amazon, man. If it ain't that same day delivery, you gotta go to the store.
And it's funny. Yeah. No, but I mean, there are people who shop and shop over there. And I would say that I go there maybe once a year. Twice at the most.
I haven't been there in like 2 years, but I have been wanting to go back because there's certain things that I want to get. But I just, like I said, I've been too scared to like kind of go through the whole thing because I feel like people are looking at me and judging me. Like, let's say I bought the most craziest thing, I feel like people would judge me.
Yes. And by the way, Mario Cavazos, jump off a cliff, my man. Say, don't lie, bro. You got that penile enlargement pump.
Well, and they have that too. They have those pills where supposedly it makes your private area bigger. And I wonder if anybody's actually tried it and if it works. Because tell me, because I want to
going off, man.
This reminds me of Van Wilder. Remember when he thinks it's a bong and he goes, it was a pump.
Yeah.
And he was like, you thought that was the line of the movie was, you thought that was a bong, it was for my schlong. That was the line from the movie. Joined by Carolina Teague, getting me in the gutter.
They say Cochino Mondays.
Cochino Mondays. There you go. Mondays. Mike asking the question about extends with the Z at the end. There you go.
I know somebody has tried it. I know. And every time I ask like a guy, have they tried it? They never say they have. So I'm like,
no one will admit it.
No one's gonna admit it.
I mean, like for example, we'll probably one day when we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. By the way, if you are watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, wherever, go onto the YouTube channel, MJ Acquired Taste, like and subscribe. Hit the like button right now. But Blue Chew, typically when you get to about 1,000 subscribers, we'll start knocking on your door going, so you do sports, huh? Got 1,000 people? Let's go ahead and talk about some Blue Chew. And do I have to test the product then? Is that what I got to do?
You probably do, man.
I mean, gum's going to get you going? Is that what that is?
I don't even know what it is. I don't, just comes in a package, I guess, and you just ingest it, swallow it. I don't know.
I'm 46 and still blessed to that it works on its own, dude. That's all.
Except when you had that gallbladder problem, but that's when it tells you got an issue.
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't working with a gallbladder. It wasn't working, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden, I had kidney stones and gallstones, and that was the answer to it.
Look at Christopher Leha.
Jimenez is going to be all over that sponsorship.
What is Blue Chew?
Blue Chew is like Viagra chewing gum.
You know what? There's like, do people take Viagra and does it actually work? Like, I really
Viagra does work.
You might have to go to an old folks home to ask that.
No, Viagra. It is. You can ask 9,000 men. All 9,000 will be like, "Yep, it works." I mean, it is the wonder drug for dudes. It does work. Okay, I'm not, and then all the generic ones probably work as well. Hey, speaking of Chris Leha is part of a group that we know and love, known as MCS General Contracting. Give them a call at 210-774-9155. More than 30 years of experience in concrete placement. MCS strives to be the best in the business. We're talking honest pricing and high quality work when it comes to building those house foundations, those business foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks, maybe an extension to a driveway, an extension to an existing concrete patio. Get it done right. Don't get it done cheap. Get it done right. MCS General Contracting, 210-774-9155. Chris Leha has been giving me crap about this. Is my guy over there. Again, it's a family-owned business. They do a very, very good job, established in 2010, but collectively more than 30 years experience. And also, big shout out also to our other sponsor, Serenity Manor, who had their second karaoke night last Thursday. CT, we got to go do the karaoke out there. They do it every other Thursday, but check this out. They are a venue in Old Town Helotes. So if you have a family reunion coming around, if you've got a wedding, a quinceañera, bridal shower, baby shower, a corporate event, go over to Serenity Manor on 14405 Old Bandera Road in Old Town Helotes. That is basically catty corner, diagonal, if you will, to Flores Country Store. And look at these photos. Just the venue itself, it is a building that's over 100 years old. It's historic. It's quaint. You have an outdoor venue, an indoor venue, and they're also going to have a market day on August 19th and 20th of this month, this upcoming month, rather. Artisans, crafters, bakers, clothing, pet treats, much more. Reach out to them if you want to be part of the show, or you can go out there and spend some money. Again, that is called Serenity Manor, 14405 Old Bandera Road. Hey, and if you're going to a concert there at Flores, they open up so that people can like go someplace else after Flores, right? Go get some beer, wine, and some margaritas out there. Hanging out with Carolina Teague.
You're not ready to get your ass kicked in karaoke.
I'm
I'm the karaoke queen. Okay, I love karaoke.
Okay, give me two songs that you do most often.
So people have requested that we do My Boo by Alicia Keys and Usher, but I think more of our speed, we have to do something like.
Oh, so you want to do a duet?
Yeah, we could do a duet. Because I do More Money, More Problems, but I do that all by myself because nobody can hit the verses the way I can. But I would say, like, if we were to do something, I want to do something new and fresh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to do Jealousy by Offset and Cardi B. So I need you to go listen to the song. I need you to learn the lyrics. It's number 2 right now, trending all over YouTube. So go listen to the song. You could be Offset and I could be Cardi B.
Okay. If we're going to do something new, Cardi B's fine. If you're going to go old school and be nostalgic about it all, something by Keith Sweat, like Twisted or Nobody. Yeah.
We could do Nobody by Keith Sweat. Let's do another old school one. What about that song, Knockin' Boots? Ooh, boy, I love you so. Never,
This rhyme is one of a kind, blowing your mind like only the Candyman can. Like a heavyweight champion, knocking him out. Another bout, without a doubt. Once again, he will scream and shout. Yeah, I don't know that song.
Are you going to do a little dance, though? I think, Jimenez, you're going to do a little dance, a little twirl when you come out.
Listen to my heartbeat while you're listening.
Look at that. Mario Cavasso says,
Umbrella. We should do Umbrella. That'd be great.
Look, Mary J and Method Man.
So you mentioned Cardi B. Did you see this, Carolina Teague? Joe, bring up what happened to Cardi B over the weekend. Do you have any idea what we're talking about, Carolina? Cardi B might be in trouble because of what happened to a concert on Friday.
Yeah.
She was doing an outdoor concert in Las Vegas. Looked like a small venue. Outdoor concert in Las Vegas. Somebody threw a drink at her, and boom, second later, she throws her microphone left-handed at the people.
There you can see it right
there. Exactly where she was at.
Let's take a look at this video right here.
Boom.
Okay. All right, so I know exactly where she was at. She was at Dre's in Las Vegas. I was at Dre's I was at Dre's about 2 weeks ago because I went to go see Fabulous in concert,
Is
and
it a big venue?
it's big. It's actually really beautiful. They
Okay.
have the outdoor part, which is where Cardi B was at with the big pool. So it looks like it was a day party for Dre's, and then the nightclub is on the inside, and everybody was there. I saw Kevin Hart, Lala, Carmelo Anthony. There are so many A-listers that go to Dre's. So Dre's, I would totally recommend to go if you're in Vegas. That's where it's at. And I remember seeing Cardi B was going to be there for Fight Weekend because Fight Weekend was huge. A lot of celebrities were in town. So she's at Dre's. Somebody throws a drink on her, and then she throws her mic, and now she could be charged for battery. I don't think I think it's mutual combat. So
Well,
the
it's not the
charge could be
person. It's not the person who she threw it at. It was the person who got hit the second time because it ricocheted off of somebody and ended up popping somebody else.
Oh,
So apparently the microphone was big enough and going with such velocity that it hit two people.
okay. So whoever the second person is a Karen because you saw why she threw it. Somebody threw something at her. You just so happened to get hit. You know damn well you didn't get hurt. So now you want to press charges. You're acting like a Karen. So
Dude,
why
we want to pay out, baby. We want to pay out.
My neck and my back. I can't move.
Why are you at a Cardi B concert where she talks about being a gangster and all this stuff, gangster rap, and being a thug and being about that life? If you're gonna press charges on her, if the microphone ricochets off of one person to the next on accident, you should just let it rock and call it a day.
Well, they escorted Cardi B off the stage after that happened, but again, she might be in trouble with Las Vegas police, who are now investigating for potential battery charges. Now, this has been kind of a thing that's been going on recently because earlier this month, Harry Styles was hit after a fan hit him with something with his eye, like pelted something with his eye. And there have been other incidents involving Drake, Steve Lacy, Kid Cudi, Pink. And then the one that was the most awful was probably the one with BB Rexa. So I don't know if you saw the one with BB Rexa a couple of months ago, but someone threw a cell phone at her and it hit her straight in the eye. She had to be rushed to the hospital. She has black eyes and all of that different stuff going on there. BB Rexa. Now, here's the thing, Joe, when you show photos of this, show the eye. Don't show her looking good.
No, I'm showing the
I saw
picture,
you.
yeah.
I saw you scrolling through photos.
Oh yeah, I was trying to get to the eye.
Yeah, so that happened. I don't know if you can see it, CT. That happened to BB Rexa a couple of months ago. And it has infuriated a lot of singers. I know Kelly Clarkson's been one that's been very vocal about this over the past couple of months, saying that fans are being crazy. Can you imagine if something like this happened to Taylor Swift?
Yeah, man. Again, BB Rexa needed like 14 stitches.
She needed stitches, yeah. If this happened to Taylor Swift, the Swifties would have swift justice. That person would cease to exist.
My thing is, like, what about way back in the day? Like, the times have changed where people like Naomi Campbell would be the only one throwing a cell phone. Now these days, these fans just come out the side of their neck and they think they could just throw whatever they want. I'd understand throwing your panties and bras like the way they do at Drake or at Prince, but I don't understand throwing objects that can actually hurt somebody, like phones or just whatever we see out there lately. It seems like fans are getting more comfortable with throwing stuff at the people that they really like. And I really think that that's not okay. And like my whole thing about this, stop throwing stuff at people. It's not okay to do that. And then you can't be mad. Okay, here's my whole thing. You cannot be mad at somebody's reaction when you try to hurt them. If you try to hurt me, I can handle it two ways. I can attack you back, or I can just chill out. It's up to the person how they want to respond. So if you
I know CTB choosing violence, though.
Huh?
I said, I know CTB choosing violence. Somebody threw something at her.
Yes, but we're undefeated at Fiesta fights, though, man. You know,
yeah, you could throw cotton and Q-tips at me. I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna throw whatever back. Like, don't disrespect me. But I'm not a celebrity. I'm not BB Rexa. What they go through is not okay. And for the fans to be continuously throwing stuff, they cannot judge how the celebrities respond to that because they put up with so much crap to begin with. The last thing they need to deal with is getting stuff thrown at them.
So somebody that's another famous singer, Adele, addressed the crowd at the Coliseum in Las Vegas to address safety concerns, and was basically was telling the crowd, "I'm not going to put up with that, and you should not be doing that at a performer." Now, back in the day, here's the thing, though: And I'm not blaming the musicians at all. But it used to be there was a stage, there was a barrier, like, where you had like some security guards there, and then you'd have the pit, if you will, probably about 15 to 20 feet away from the stage itself. Now the musicians are literally on top of on top of the crowd, and some of these performers have the stage going into the crowd. And I'm not trying to blame the performers, but what I am saying is that it's an easier mark that way. It's easier when you're just 3 feet from me as opposed to being 30 feet from me. That's the thing I'm saying.
But isn't that sad? And then you can't win when you're a celebrity, because they had barriers back then, but celebrities want to interact with their fans. But because of crazy fans like that, they don't want to take a picture with them. They don't want to say hello to them. They want to protect their space because of these dumbass fans who can't keep their hands to themselves or keep objects to themselves. And I really think it has a lot to do with drugs and not necessarily the time frame that we're in. There's the MDMA is at an all-time high. There's a lot of other drugs on the market that people love to do while they're at concerts. And I think it has a lot to do with drugs.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact of the matter is that some people can't hold their alcohol. That's basically it, especially in Las Vegas. I mean, come on.
Especially in Las Vegas.
You don't go to Vegas to be sober.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to close out this picture here of BB Rex. The video plays on its own.
Yeah, and it says, "I'm in love with this
woman."
I'm
in love with this woman. No, like what?
Yes, okay.
As a matter of fact, if you are in Vegas, I highly recommend when you arrive in your Uber, if you have a cool Uber driver, get your drugs and alcohol off the strip so you can save a lot of money. Get your drugs and alcohol first and then go on the strip. And
now you're talking about legal drugs, right? You go to the dispensary.
Legal drugs. Yeah, legal drugs. Yeah, of course.
I've been to the dispensary.
Do not advocate illegal drugs. No.
Yes, I've been to the dispensaries off the strip. There's one that is immediately outside of the airport. That is massive. I will say this, though. I don't want to be in a wraparound line, though, man, because the wraparound line outside of the airport is a little bit sketch. So it just is what it is. It just is what it is. Talking to Carolina Teague, we have a couple of minutes left in the show. Again, you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. We're also on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts as well. Joe, where's the new one that we're at?
We're on Amazon Music. We're going to be on the iHeartRadio app. So basically, on all major podcasting platforms.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it. And we're going to soon be going to a 2-hour show. We're still ironing out the details of that. It'll happen before the football season starts. Before the football season starts. Most definitely. Talking to Carolina Teague. CT, what are you working on these days? Plug yourself, girl. Promote yourself.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if I can announce some stuff yet. I have some stuff coming in a few weeks, but it's going to be really exciting. And I am working really hard behind the scenes. I'm doing a lot in the wrestling community and in the boxing community. So you'll see all my work coming up soon. I need the green light to make the announcements, though, and I don't have them just yet. And of course, I also have the League of Our Own podcast. It's every Wednesday at around 7:15, 7:30. We are Guyland said that if I get to 1,000 subscribers in 3 months, he's gonna rent out a movie theater so we can watch Barbie World, because he said he does not want to see Barbie World, and I want to force him to see Barbie World if we get to 1,000 subscribers. Follow me on TikTok at Carolina Teague Sports, at Carolina Teague _. And thank you so much for having me on. I'm so proud of you, Jimenez, for having this podcast. I always say it all the time, but I just want to reiterate how happy I am that you guys have a platform and you guys allow me to come on. It's really exciting.
Oh, it's all Joe. I just come here to talk, man. I just come here to talk. Joe is the one that is the master of all the ring lights, the master of all the things going on with the social media platforms and whatnot. He makes it easy for me to just come in here and talk.
Yeah.
PT, you just did an interview too. You interviewed the Pit Bull.
I did. I interviewed Pitbull Cruz, who was the co-main, and Ryan Garcia. Since we're speaking about boxing news today, Ryan Garcia, I have a feeling that they're going to set up this fight between Ryan Garcia and Pitbull Cruz, because Ryan Garcia recently mentioned that Pitbull Cruz is in his top 3 of who he's going to be fighting up against next. That's the clip right there. I asked Pitbull Cruz if he would fight Ryan Garcia, and his response was, because he already turned down a previous fight against Ryan Garcia, he said that if he can come to negotiation terms with their team, he has no problem fighting him. And he just beat Giovanni Cabrera in the co-main this past weekend. Pitbull Cruz is one of those incredible fighters. If you guys aren't really big into boxing, he was the only one of two people that was able to take Gervonta Tank Davis, one of our great fighters in this generation, to decision. And of course, him versus Ryan Garcia would be an explosive fight. After the fight, Ryan Garcia came out and he said, you are not going to get the fights you want if you keep begging for a rematch with Tank. You need to fight somebody of substance. So I think he's trying to put the bug in everyone's ear to go up against Pitbull Cruz. And I hope that fight comes into fruition, because Pitbull Cruz is an amazing Mexican fighter, and Ryan Garcia has TikTok on lock. He has a lot of fans as well. It would be such a great fight.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia is on my crap list right now. He was supposed to do an interview with me last year and saw me and talked to me and said, I'll be there in a minute. Never showed up. So he's on my crap list right there. But I'll give the guy some props. Like you said, he has TikTok down on lock, and he also placed at the World Series of Poker main event. So 10,000 people that took part in the tournament, he finished in the top 600.
You know who didn't turn you down or ignore you?
Who's that?
Paige Baronic.
Paige Baronic. Nope. She said hi. Took multiple photos.
Yeah.
You have this knack for getting hot women to become your friends, Jimenez.
That is true. And I married one too. My wife, Selena. She's my gorgeous girl.
You have a hot wife. Yes, very true. But from a sports media perspective, Annie Agar, Paige, like, how do you you just knock it out the park every year?
The Annie thing is funny though. The Annie Agar thing is funny because I remember the people at the station were making fun of it. Like, oh, she's not going to come by. Not going to come by. And we just hit it off on air. We hit it off. Great interview. We were funny and it was interactive and blah, blah, blah. And she's just become somebody, like, if I called her right now, she'd answer. She'd be like, whatever. She's a cool chick. She's a cool chick. And I think what it is that you can be fans of somebody without fanboying out. If you respect what they do. And that was when I went up to Annie. I went up to Annie and I was like, dude, you're killing it on social media. I said, you are so good at what you do. And she felt like shy about it. And it was so cool. It was so cool because she's just some girl who was doing TikToks in her bedroom just 3 years ago and has blown up and stuff like that. So it hasn't hit her as to how big she is. She almost feels like it's a dream. And if you can hit on that type of conversation and get people to like you in a way where you understand that it's a respect factor. Is she gorgeous? Yes, she is. Okay. But I also respect what she does. I respect her hustle. That's the thing, because you hustle locally. She hustled on her end as well. And there's something about people who hustle. And if you can actually recognize that and articulate that, they love you.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like hustle respects hustle, iron sharpens iron. I've always felt like that. Somebody asked, am I going to be wrestling? Yes. And you know what? I want to wrestle because I know I can kick some ass. Whoever blocked me recently on social media for the San Antonio Sports Star, I would be down to wrestle them for charity. I love them all, but I would definitely be ready to whoop some ass in a respectful way.
In a respectful way. Chris Leha real fast saying Jimenez got big timed once, but he does it to money bags all the time. It is what it is. But but as far as the Sports Star people are concerned, I got to hang out with Joe Reinigle this weekend. Got to hang out with Minix. Got to hang out with Pledger. They're my boys. Rudy Day, my boys.
I spoke to Minix and Pledger this weekend. All is good. I have love for everybody. But yeah, I would definitely be down to wrestle for charity, of course.
Very nice. That is Carolina Teague. Follow her, A League of Her Own podcast. Do it on YouTube because I watch it as well. Joe Garcia has been producing today's show. Rest in peace, Pee Wee Herman.